Present screen. Okay, do you have your papers now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, for a moment. Oops. Yeah. All right, you see my screen now? This was our last question in our previous review. A story put together through an exchange of letters is called epistolary literature. We have explained that yung fiction, it refers to any literature that is fabricated or based on imagination, like a novel. When we say classic, it's in the options, yung letter D. When we say classic, it refers to something that's of high quality and particularly of lasting value. So it could apply to anything, not just literature. While when we say episodic, it describes how certain stories are told in episodes, in series of episodes or segments, like yung soap opera. But when you say epistolary, it's different from episodic. Epistolary, from the root word epistle, synonymous with letters, so we can get a clue from the question itself. So here we have the correct answer, epistolary literature. Okay, so we'll now have our first question for today. Number your paper, number 55. Okay. A toothpick can sit on the surface of water due to blank. Okay. This is a question in science. What makes a toothpick sit on water, on the surface of water? Okay, thank you, Mr. Abayon, for your response. Miss Hamlag left the meeting. Medyo naputol ang kanyang connection. Okay, thank you for your responses. Escobar and Alavar, Cabonilas. All right, thank you. Okay, we'll now have the answer. A toothpick can sit on the surface of water due to, some we answered surface tension, and others buoyancy, but the correct answer is surface tension. So how do we differentiate now? How do we, actually the term buoyancy is also applicable in the property of liquids like water. But for this question, the answer is surface tension. Why? Surface tension is the effect where the surface of a liquid is strong and enabling it to hold up a weight. Okay? Ibig sabihin, ito yung uh, characteristic ng liquid, especially when it's viscous o yung malagkit, o yung masyadong malapot, to enable it enables to hold up weight, certain amount of weight lang naman, hindi masyadong mabigat, at the surface of that liquid, surface tension. This property is caused by the molecules in the liquid being attracted to each other, or we call it cohesion. Attracted to each other, the molecules are closely attached to each other, attracted to each other. And it is responsible for many behaviors of liquids, such as the shape of water, like droplet, diba? If you notice, if a droplet of water falls on the table, pabilog siya. No, ano siya ba? Symmetrical because of surface tension. Maghihilahan sila ba? Maghihilahan yung mga molecules ng liquid. At the same time, it creates a strong band at the surface of the water, which enables the toothpick of a particular weight, magaan lang na weight, to sit above the surface. Ano naman yung, wait man, meron pang additional explanation about surface tension. It's also the force of attraction between the water molecules that gives the surface of a water a skin, term skin, strong enough to prevent light, magaan na objects from falling through. While buoyancy naman, take note, buoyancy is the upward force exerted by the fluid towards an object. If the object floats on the fluid, the buoyancy is equal to the weight. Okay, the difference is surface tension, the attraction of the molecules. Buoyancy is the upward force exerted by the fluid. Imagine in a concert, imagine in a jam-packed concert, and then the performers on stage jumped to onto the audience. Ano tawag dyan eh, yung dive something, stage dive, di ba? And the people or the audience will because they are close to each other and jump pack sila, they are able to hold the performer on top of them para siyang lumulutang doon because of the surface tension ang term in terms of liquid, but we can imagine surface tension as that close kasi sila, but the force of pushing the the performer on top of them is buoyancy. You get it? I hope na you're able to get the illustration. Surface tension and buoyancy, they are different. While the atmospheric pressure, it's in our options, so we're going to extend our knowledge. Atmospheric pressure, it's the force exerted against a surface by the weight of the air above the surface and is commonly measured with a barometer. It's a force exerted against a surface because of the weight of air. We thought air is just very, although it seems very light, but it has weight. mm, and it's measured with barometer. The higher the altitude or the location, the lesser the atmospheric pressure, as you can see in the illustration. Look at this, it's like a pillar, and then atmospheric pressure is illustrated by uh, those objects. Yeah. Okay, atmospheric pressure, further explanation, is caused by the gravitational attraction of the planet. Mm, caused by the gravitational attraction of the planet on the atmospheric gases above the surface. Oh, and it's a function of mass of the planet, the radius of the surface, the amount of composition of the gases, and the vertical distribution of the atmosphere. So meron palang effect ang gravity in atmospheric pressure. That's why the higher the altitude or the location, the lesser the atmospheric pressure. And atmospheric pressure is modified by planetary rotation, the movement of our planet, kanya pag-rotate on its axis, and also local effects such as wind, velocity, density variations due to temperature, and variations in the composition of the air above the Earth's surface. Okay, that's atmospheric pressure. Bali yung bigat ng air or ng atmosphere in a certain parang area against the surface of the Earth. Yun. This is what I'm saying. Atmospheric pressure drops as altitude increases. These questions, meron dito sa marami ito sa science. As the pressure decreases, the amount of oxygen available to breathe also decreases. Kaya pala when we go higher sa mga mountain climbers, no, when they go higher in altitude, maka-experience sila ng shortness of breath. That is because yung atmospheric pressure drops. So yung amount of oxygen that's available in high areas and higher altitudes decrease. Ayun, kaya nga. At very high altitudes, atmospheric pressure and available oxygen get so low that people can become sick and even die. Yung viscosity naman, it's also in our choices kanina. It refers to the thickness of the fluid. It results from the interaction or friction between molecules in a fluid, and it is a property of fluid that resists the force tending to cause the fluid to flow. Yan. For example, viscosity, the thickness of the fluid. So if we compare water with oil, oil is more viscous than water. Okay, viscosity. Therefore, the correct answer for this question is surface tension. All right. Next question. Which of the following is a measure of pressure measure of pressure, defined as 1 Newton per square meter. Science talaga, no? Maraming terms na scientific terms na kailangan mo talagang ma-familiarize. Thank you for your responses. Thank you, Alabar, Abayon. Is it Post? Say Post. Pascal, milliliter, or atomic units? Thank you for your responses. Hamlag, Abunilas. Wells, Solana, Escobar. All right. So, answer na lahat. Correct answer for this question is, yes, of course, it's Pascal. Measure of pressure. 1 Newton per square meter ang measure nito. Okay. Pascal, or abbreviated as PA, is the unit of pressure or stress in the SI, or System of Units, International System of Units. And it's named after Blaise Pascal. 1 Pascal is equivalent to 1 Newton of force applied over an area of 1 square meter. Application. The application of the measurement ng force. Ito. Yung hydraulics. Okay. 1 Newton of force is the force required to accelerate an object with a mass of 1 kilogram, 1 meter per second squared. How fast is that? How fast is 1 meter per second squared? Twice or more than twice the speed of 1 second. Yung 1 Pascal is equal to 1 kilogram, or is the force required to accelerate or move an object with a mass of 1 kilogram, 1 meter per second. Yun ang 1 Pascal. Naintindihan nyo ang 1 Pascal? Halimbawa, 1 kilo ng box, may box na 1 kilo, yung amount ng force para ma-move yung 1 kilogram na box 1 meter in less than a second, kasi second squared yan. 1 meter, isang dipa, in less than a second, that's equivalent to 1 Pascal. Alright? Kuha ninyo? Sabi, no? That's the measure of force. So, correct answer for this question is Pascal. Yung pose, say, what's that? Too much of a distractor, eliminate. Milliliter, we know it's volume. Atomic units, is that the, although it's clearly a distractor kasi about pressure, hindi pwedeng ma-relate yung atomic units. Okay? So, very good. Next question. Damage to DNA that is not repaired and then replicated can result in which genetic genetic disorder? Is it mutation, pathology, embryology, speciation? Thank you for your responses. Thank you. Escobar, Alabar, Hamlang Cabunilas, and Abayon. 5 lang sila. All right. Correct answer for this question is, yes, you're correct. That's mutation. Damage that is not repaired and replicated. Yan pala yung tinatawag na mutate. Mutation. And mutations are changes that occur in the DNA sequence of the nucleotides. Very, very microscopic na yung DNA. They can occur spontaneously when DNA is being replicated during cell division, but also induced by environmental factors, mutations such as chemicals, drugs, and ionizing radiation such as UV rays or X-ray. Mag-mutate yung ma-alter yung sequence ng nucleotide sa DNA. And it creates parang confusion in cell division. Kaya may mga parts ng body or merong mga functions of organs that parang disrupt because of mutation. Yung pathology naman is described as the science of the causes and effects of diseases. So it's about diseases. What causes and the effects of diseases? This is called pathology. Yung embryology naman is a branch of biology that is concerned with the development of new organisms. embryology, development of new organisms. Huh? Okay. So correct answer for this question is mutation. Yung speciation, too much of a distractor. Alright, so eliminate na siya. Next question. Pick up natin ng pace para makarami tayo. Ay ito. Math. Find the least common multiple of 5 to 7. You still remember what's least common multiple? Hmm? What do you mean when say least common multiple of 5, 2, and 7? Okay, thank you, Mr. Abayon, sa response. Alavar, how did you get that? Sige. Least common, ha? Least common multiple. How about the others? Okay, thank you. Campanilas. Escobar, thank you. And Damlag, all right. We answered. And correct answer for this question is yes, that's letter D, 70. So when we say least common multiple, in other words, the smallest or the least positive number that is a multiple of the given numbers. In our case, it's 5 to 7. Yung pinakamaliit na number na kung saan if the number is multiplied in sequence, 5 times 1, 5 times 2, they will have the same yung same na number, least number na magkapareho sila. Like sa 5 to 7, 70. So there are techniques in getting the least common multiple. One is, I'm not saying na ito lang, one is you multiply the given numbers like 5 times 2 times 7, you'll get 70. But it's not always the case. Take note ha, it's not always the case. Baka yun ang gamitin yung technique and then as options, multiply nyo lang yung tatlong number, kung answer na kagad kayo, mamali kayo. So always be cautious, alright? So least common multiple, ayan, i-multiply siya, 5 times 2 times 7, you get 70. Now how about, may technique pa ito, may technique. Since ang question i-share ko na lang itong technique nito, pwede rin multiply nyo 5 times 2 times 7, pwede rin yun siya. Meron ding mabilis na technique, since it's asking for the least common multiple, then the first the first least number in the options, you try to divide by the given numbers. Is 15 divisible by 5? Yes. Is it divisible by 2? No. So x na kaagad yan siya. So it's not 15. You start with the first least number. How about 35? Is it divisible by 5? Yes. Divisible by 2? No. So it's not the least common. Next, 70. Is it divisible by 5, 2, and 7? Yes, that's why 70. How about this one? Very good. Next. This is not part of the items, but a bonus question related to number 58. Find the least common multiple of 6, 2, and 3. Thank you for responses. See, nag-different na sila. Alavar, Amlag, Bayon, thank you for responses. Magkaiba answer nila. For the others, nag-choose ang answer. Least common, ha? Okay, thank you. So, see here. Sige. Escobar, letter C yan, ha? Thank you. So, if we are going to multiply the three numbers, just like what we did last video, so previous item, 6 times 2 is 12 times 3, you get what? 36. Ay, 36 kagad ang answer kasi we've gone. This is what I'm telling you na it's not always the technique. So how about yung technique natin, yung second technique? Get what is the least number in the options? It's 12. Is 12 divisible by 6? Yes, divisible by 2. Yes, divisible by 3. Yes, therefore, the correct answer is 12. Don't look for 6 kasi may say 6. Ako 6 ang 6 common multiple. Least common multiple nila, but it's not in the options. So don't force your idea. Mali ang question. You just answer the question. That's the point. So 12 is the correct answer. Okay? Hmm. Okay. Let's move to the next question. If the average or arithmetic mean of x and minus 5 or x negative 5 is 10, then what must be the value of x? What must the value of x be? Yan. If the average or the mean of, thank you for your responses, x minus 5 is 10, then what could be the value of x? Okay, thank you for your responses. Who else? Same final answer. Did you solve for it or you just know it? We've seen that in the questionnaire, sir, in the reviewer, and the answer is A. All right, everybody has already keyed in their answer. Correct answer for this question is C. It's 25B. Hala, sir, bakit? Pare-pare mong answer A tanan. Ay ba tanan? Hmm. Okay, sila lahat. So, how are we going to translate the word problem into an expression? Yan na, di ba? In the previous questions, we have an example of a question that asks you to translate the word problem into an equation. Remember yung book, the box, empty box, and yung math na book, asking about what expression will give us the weight of the box filled with y books or the number of books. Same thing here. Uh, it's para siya, application of that and then yung answer. This is asking us how do we translate the word problem into a mathematical expression so we get the correct answer. What's the value of x? So how did we get 25? So since average daw, the average of x minus 5 is 10. So when we say average, x and 5, x and negative 5, how many numbers did we divide? I-average man daw eh. Average kasi x and negative 5, how many values? Isa variable, ang isa kay minus 5, negative 5. How many? How many values or variables do we need to divide to get the average? Dalawa. 'Di ba? X and minus 5, yung average daw nila. Therefore, the equation should be x, wait, bakit hindi siya? Oh. Uh, all right. Okay? Since average of x and minus 5, so we get x minus 5 over 2 kasi dalawa, x and minus 5 ang i-divide eh. You get it? The average of x minus 5 is equal to 10. Let's go back to the question. Look at the question, oh. The average of x and minus 5 is 10. Therefore, x over x minus 5 divided by 2 is equal to 10. And it's asking us what's the value of x. So we proceed with the procedure or the process of solving this. How do we solve this? Remember this, ito, basic algebra rules, A over B, for example, A over B is equal to C over D. It's the same thing as A times D is equal to C times B. Are you following? Mga English majors and BE-Ed? Itong A divided by B is equal to, itong equation na A divided by B is equal to C divided by D is the same thing as A times D is equal to C times B. That's why in this equation, we have now x minus 5 is equal to 2 times 10. Any reaction to that or is it clear? Bakit naging x minus 5 is equal to 2 times 10? Lagi pagdali. Madali kasi. Perige ka nino so luwang. Madali mo answer. So continue with the process. So that's x minus 5 is equal to 20 kasi 2 times 10, 20. And then divide everything or divide both sides by negative 5. Kaya ang answer is 25. Am I right? Or is it right? Okay, 25 ang correct answer. I hope you're able to follow. B.Ed and English major. Sige, next question. If a dice is rolled, what is the probability of getting a number described by 2? The question, or the one who made the question made it a bit wordy, no? So at least maka-distract. If a dice is rolled, thank you for your responses. Okay, what the probability ang sinasabi no? Parang medyo difficult terms. What is the probability of getting a number described by 2? It's just asking what's the chance of getting number 2, getting 2 when we roll the dice. Correct answer is, thank you for your responses everyone.
Ay,
That's
ay ba?
letter
Basta kayo plural
D.
sa dice set. Ay, dice.
Die. D-I-E. If a dice is rolled, what is the probability of getting a number described by 2? So pila man ang 2 sa dice. The dice has how many? 6 sides. So the probability of getting 2 is just 1. One side lang out of 6. Okay? Sige. Next question. Simplify 6 minus open bracket 3 minus open parenthesis minus 4 close parenthesis plus 11 plus 8 close bracket. How do we read that? So simplify. English major ha, or B.Ed, you might think this is English, this is math major. No, this is basic math. Answers? Okay, thank you. Thank you for responses. Who else? Wala nang gagaya sa answer ni Escobar. Thank you, Abayon, Alabar. How about the others? I'm waiting for Miss Hamlag. We still have Miss Hamlag. Mag-solve. Yes, dapat mag-solve. Alright. Sana? Okay, thank you. Kubudilas, correct answer for this question is letter. Okay, Hamlag, thank you. Lana, correct answer is letter D. That's negative 20. So how do we do that? Don't forget the order of operation. The order of operation, PEMDAS, mnemonics for that, PEMDAS. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So if we are asked to simplify expressions like this, so if there's a parenthesis, meaning to say yung inside, the inner the inner operation, parenthesis ang unahin. So wag mo na sa iba. Look for parenthesis. If there is none, then proceed to the next. Exponents. Kung meron exponents. If there is none, then proceed to the next. Multiplication and so on. So here, 6 minus bracket 3 minus we have here negative 1 MD. What do you mean? Whichever comes first?
Sa ano, sir? Multiplication o division, whichever come first, sir. O addition, subtraction, whichever come first.
Where'd you learn that?
Mamang gingon ni sir bahinting na dili daw.
It doesn't matter kung multiplication, division.
Tama na siya, sir, na PEMDAS na pero same ano sir, kung whichever come first, pero ani ang nauna is addition, tapos
Ali, mag-partner ang MD at saka AS, sir.
So it
MD
doesn't matter
either
which comes first.
sa PEMDAS, multiplication and division, either sa ilaha o sa
Hmm.
subtraction
Addition
o
or
addition.
subtraction.
Depende lang
So
po sa ano.
okay, so it doesn't matter if you perform division first and then multiplication. Is that what you're saying?
unang multiplication, sir. Kung unsa yung una sa sentence bitaw, sir.
You mean sa sequence?
Yes, sir, sequence.
Okay, sige. Sige, basta don't forget this order of operation using this mnemonic, PEMDAS. If there's parentheses, you perform it first, exponents, multiplication, and so on. Right? So, how do we perform this using PEMDAS? Yan, first we process itong negative, this is considered as -1. -1 times -4. So, we get 4. Okay? Not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong. So, we get inside the bracket 3 plus 4 plus 11 plus 8, then we add that. Kasi we don't have multiplication, no more exponents, no more division. So we proceed with addition. And so we get 26, -26. So that's 6 minus 26. That's why we get -20. All of you got the correct answer. Very good. So don't forget the order of operation. Next question. The altitude of a triangle is 5 meters. And the base is 20 meters. This is plane geometry. What is the area of the triangle? Mark, can you please turn off your microphone? Thank you. Okay, sige. Thank you for responses. Kaya ba yun? How about the others? Mag-solve sa mo ha, yung pagdali. Altitude of a triangle or the height is 5 meters. The base is measured in 20 meters. The question, what is the area of a triangle? So it asks us, or the question is asking us about our knowledge about the formula of getting the area of a triangle, plane geometry. How about the others? Will we reveal the answer now? Try to answer, please. Thank you for your responses. Labaram Vlog. All right, correct answer for this question. That's 50. 50 square meters. So how do we get the 50 square meters? The formula to get the area of a triangle is this. Base times height divided by 2. Or same thing as 1/2 times base times height. So given ang height or the altitude, given din ang base, so just need to multiply it and divide it by 2. So that's 20 times 5, 100 divided by 2, we get 50 square meters. Don't forget the formula, base times height divided by 2 for area of a triangle. Simple lang ngayon, no? Pero if you forget the formula, you will have a difficult time to answer this question. So don't forget the formula. Another formula like sa area of a circle, area of a rectangle. Ayan. Mga basic na mga formula. The next question. All right. This time is Filipino. Ang mga salitang teka, saan, tena, dali, ay nagtataglay ng is that tono, metathesis, pagkaltas, or asimilasyon. Thank you for responses. How about the others? Abayon, Escobar, Alavar. Okay, valid ang kanilang answer. All right. We'll show the correct answer now. Correct answer for this question is Alright, provide ang kanilang answer. Thank you. Hamblagin ko po. The last correct answer for this question is pagkakaltas or pagkaltas. Let's discuss these terms. Pag sinabi nating pagkakaltas, ito ay kabilang sa 5 uri ng pagbabagong morphoponemiko. Or ibig sabihin pag-form or pagbuo ng mga salita, mga paraan. Ang pagkaltas, mayroong 5 uri ng pagkaltas. Asimilasyon, pagpapalit, paglilipat, pagdaragdag at pagkakaltas. Ang pagkakaltas ay kabilang sa uri ng pagbabagong morphoponemiko. Yung asimilasyon, this is pagbabagong anyo ng morphema. Sabi morphema, yung word, dulot ng impluensya ng katabing tunog. Ang mga panlapi nagtatapos ng na sound, yan sound ay pinapalitan ng or gaya ng panlaping sing na magiging sin or sim. Halimbawa, yan, singhaba, pang-awit. Ang mga salita nagsisimula sa patinig at katinig na k, g, u, i ay idinadagdag ang panlaping sing at pag. Kung ang salita ay nagsisimula sa yan, mga tunog na yan, patinig at yan, k, g, h, n, w, y. Sa mga nagsisimula naman sa DLRST, salita nagsisimula sa ay may panlapi na sin o pan. Kaya sintamis or pangdagat. Instead na singtamis, nagiging sintamis. Imbis na pangdagat, nagiging pandagat. Okay? That's assimilasyon. Ayan pa, meron pa pangbasa, pambasa. Kung nagsisimula sa B at P na sound, B at P na sound, ang panlapi nilang ginagamit ay sim at pam. Ayan, kaya, imbis na pangbasa, pambasa. Singpayat, simpayat. Parang one-port. Just kidding. Hindi kasali yan. Pagpapalit naman ay tumutukoy sa ponemang nagbabago o napapalitan ng pagbuo ng salita. Halimbawa, pagpapalit, instead na dito, rito. Madapat, marapat. Madumi, nagiging marumi. Yung sound ng or H at N or E, na, N, tawahan, tawanan. Tatawahan sila. Nagtatawanan. Nagpapalit ang tunog. Yung paglilipat naman o metathesis, ito yung paglilipat ng posisyon kung saan nakasulat o nakalagay yung tunog ng mga ponema. Halimbawa, kapag nagsimula sa letrang L or E, Y, L or Y, ay may gitlapi in, ay nagpalit ang N at I or N at E sa unlaping ni. Take a look at the example. Imbis na yakap, inakap, naging niyakap. Kasi it sounds awkward kung inakap, naging niya, kaya niyakap. Niyakap niya ang kanyang ama. Linayo, nilayo. Paglilipat, naililipat. Kuha ninyo, yung may gitlaping in, nagpapalit sila ng posisyon. Yung L at E at saka yung gitlaping in. Paglilipat o metathesis. Yung pagdaragdag naman ay ang pagdagdag ng hulapi or yung last syllable ng salita. Okay? Pagdadagdag ng hulapi sa salita kahit mayroon ng hulapi. Katotohanan. Katotohan. Actually, ang root word ng katotohanan is totoo. So, yung unlapi na ka at hulaping han, katotohanan, pagdaragdag. Pabulahan, nagiging pabulaanan. Pagdaragdag ng hulapi, kahit meron ng hulapi. At yung pagkakaltas naman, ito yung pagkawala ng isang phonema or ng sound or morphema na maaari itong nasa unahan o sa gitna ng salita. Look at the examples. Bukasan, instead na bukasan, nagiging buksan. Dalahin, naging dalhin. Pagkaltas, nawawala ang phoneme. So, yung sa examples sa ano natin, sa question natin, ay meron pala explanation dito. Yung tono naman or intonasyon, ito naman yung pagtaas o pagbaba na inuukol sa pantig or sa syllables ng salita, yung tono or intonasyon. So hindi yun siya kasali sa pagbabagong morphoponemiko which is in the question. Yung tono intonasyon, hindi siya sa pagbabagong morphoponemiko. But yung tono intonasyon, karagdagang kaalaman, ito yung pagtaas o pagbaba ng tunog ng pantig. Okay, para mas maging malinaw sa pag-uusap. May kanya-kanyang paraan ng mga tao sa pagtaas at pagbaba ng kanilang tono or intonasyon. Yan, for example, dumating na ang Pangulo. Dumating na ang Pangulo, depende sa gamit. Ako, lumilindol, lumilindol, lumilindol. Yan, tono or intonasyon. Kaya, sa tanong na ito, question number 63, teka, saan, tena, dali, ay nagtataglay ng pagkaltas. Hindi tono, hindi metathesis, hindi asimilasyon. Paano pala nabuo yung teka? Di ba? Hintay ka. Naging teka. Na marami ang nakaltas. Hintay ka. Yung saan? Nasaan. Naging saan. Tena. Ano yung tena? Tayo na. Naging tena. Tana. Sabi siya ba? Tana. Tana. Tena. Sa Tagalog ito. Ten. Dali. Sandali. Dali. Sandali. Madali. Sandali. Kaltas. Nawawala ang ibang punema. Nawawalang ibang tunog. Kuha. Tama ba? Nagtataglay ng pagkakaltas ang mga salitang ito. So this question is asking us about our knowledge and parang recall about these terms. Tono, metathesis, pagkakaltas, at assimilation. Alright, next question. Mahirap din ang Filipino, no? Okay, this time, social science naman. How many days are needed after which an enrolled bill becomes a law? Ilang araw bago ang isang panukalang batas or bill ay naging isang batas. Panukalang batas, naging batas. How many days? Thank you for responses. Bayan Escobar. Amlag Bonilas and Alabar. Naglagay sa cancer. Sige lang. Basta ha, tarungan yung exercise test. Kamu juda. Bahala yun mga score ninyo. Score na ninyo. Tarungan yun na ninyo. How many days? Before a bill becomes a law, it's 30 days. On what basis? We have here from the official gazette of gov.ph, bills are laws in the making. They pass into law when they are approved by both houses and the President of the Philippines. A bill may be vetoed by the president, but the House of Representatives may overturn a presidential veto by garnering a two-thirds vote. If the president does not act on a proposed law submitted by Congress, it will lapse into a law. Magiging law siya within 30 days upon the receipt. Yung mga bills pala, bago siya maging isang batas, kailangan ma-approve siya sa both houses, sa Senate and sa Congress, sa upper house and sa lower house, and ang final na signature or ng approval is from the President of the Philippines. But the bill can be vetoed by the President, meaning hindi niya pirmahan. Pag hindi niya pirmahan, the House of Representatives, mga sa Congress, pwede nilang i-overturn yung veto ng President na hindi niya pirmahan by garnering a two-thirds vote. Meaning to say, how many congressmen sa lower house, House of Representatives, mga 200 plus. So dapat two-thirds ng 200 plus para ma-overturn yung veto ng President. Now, if the President does not act on the proposed law, it will become a law in 30 days upon the receipt. So correct answer for this question is 30. Next question. Analects, which are short and witty sayings that teach moral values and good human relations, are attributed to who or to blank? Term pa lang na analects, alam nyo na yan kung sino yung analects na yan. Pag Pag sinabing Analects, is it Mao Zedong? Is it Confucius? Is it Mencius? Or is it Lao Tzu? Pangalan sa mga Chinese. Give your responses. Who else? Kung si Escobar, let's start to see kung gagayos ka sa sagot ni Escobar. Baka sisihin ka na naman nila Escobar pagkatapos mamaya pagmamali. Okay, thank you for responses sa inyong lahat. Correct answer actually, pag sinabing Analects, si Confucius talaga yan. The Analects of Confucius. The Analects are, it's a collection or a compilation. Sige, good, uy. Pero bitaw, Analects, seriously, Confucius siya, ha? Don't forget. So, let's try to see ano pala yung mga pinasusulat nitong iba si Mao Zedong, si Lao Tzu. Oh, by the way, ayun nga, si Confucius, ayan, a very influential Chinese philosopher. By the way, si Confucius is not a religious teacher. Hindi spiritual ang kanyang tinuturo, hindi religion, but rather political and social ang kanyang na mga concepts ang kanyang tinuturo. Political and social, hindi sa religion, right? Unlike kay Buddha or iba mga parang mga spiritual na philosophers. Confucius hindi. Political figure known for his popular aphorisms and for his models ayun sinasabi kong social interaction. Si Confucius is also known as Kung-Fu-Tzu, which means philosopher, teacher, and Chinese philosopher and political figure. Kung-Fu-Tzu sa Chinese, naging Confucius kasi English. His teachings preserved in the Analects focus on creating ethical models of family. See, I told you, ethical models of the family. So social siya na social dimension siya, public interaction, and setting educational standards. After his death, Confucius became the official imperial philosophy of China, which was extremely influential during the Han, Tang, and Song dynasties. What else do we know about Confucius and the Analects? Analects is the collection of teachings and thoughts of Confucius. They also contain fragments or parts or partial ng kanyang mga dialogues between his disciples. Although parang si Jesus din ang dating, parang Jesus Christ din kaya siya mga disciples. But it's more of philosophy, political, and social na mga aspects. The name in English derived from the word analect, which means a fragment or extract of literature or a collection of teachings. Literally, it's called Discussion of the Words of Confucius. And it's believed to have been collected by his disciples, but not by Confucius himself. Yung mga disciples na pala nag-compile niyan, ng Analects of Confucius. Ito naman si Mao Zedong, he is considered as the principal Chinese Marxist theorist. If you're familiar with Marxism, ano yung beliefs ng Marxism, ano yung philosophy nila? Pag sinabing Marxism, additional information na lang. Pag sinabing Marxism, it's the philosophy that believes or adheres to the idea that the wealth of the nation should be equally distributed to each of the citizen. Walay dato, walay pobre. Sige kaon sa Davao, sige kaon dito sa Manila, pare-pareha lang dapat. Fair dapat ang Marxism. Although it has advantages and disadvantages, pero ibang medyo malalim na usapan na yan. Pero yun ang philosophy ni Mao Zedong. He is also a soldier, a statesman, and he led his nation in cultural revolution. There was a time in his when he was in the government, he led the Communist Party, yung Chinese Communist Party from 1935. And then meron siyang program for China. Ito yung Great Leap Forward. Great Leap Forward and Advance. No? Although it's ill-conceived and had disastrous consequence, but many of the goals of those of the Cultural Revolution and Great Leap Forward, it includes the status of being self-reliant ng China, which is said to be appreciated by the people. No, if you look at China now, no, it's a superpower. Dati pag sabi ka ng China sa mga benta-benta ng mga products like sa Unitop or sa mga mention pa Unitop no sa DCLA, mga China dahil daw maguba. But look at what China is doing now, di ba? Grabe ang technology nila. And the world can now feel the economic power and also military power ng China. Hindi gani maka-react minsan ang United States sa China eh. Even the Philippines, parang binili na ng China. Hindi na makareact ang government sa mga ginagawa ng Chinese government sa West Philippine Sea. Kung tayo ang tatanungin, West Philippine Sea. Pero pag ang Chinese ang tatanungin, South China Sea, kanila yun. So anyway, so Mao Zedong, yun siya, isa sa mga great leaders ng China. And also, Mao Zedong, he also authored many books like ito, on guerrilla warfare, be familiar with this, and on New Democracy, quotation from a chairman, Mao Zedong. Ito naman wait lang, meron pang konti about Mao Zedong. Ayan. Mao Zedong Great Leap Forward, it attempted to increase agricultural and industrial production. During that time, 1950s, but now, grabe na technology ngayon sa China. The program established large agricultural communes, meaning merong mga groups of people in a community, as many as 75,000 people working in the fields. Imagine 75,000 people working in the fields, agriculture, and each family received the share of the profits. And meron silang small plot of land. See? Kasi yung kanyang philosophy nga is Marxism, equal distribution of wealth for the citizens of the country. That's Mao Zedong. Si Mencius naman is also a Chinese philosopher like Confucius, no? Whose development of Orthodox Confucianism earned him the title second sage. Chief among his basic tenets was the emphasis on the obligation of the rulers to provide for the common people. Yung isa sa pinaka-principle ni Mencius is that ang gobyerno dapat merong obligation to provide livelihood sa mga tao, sa mga common people. The book Mencius records his doings and sayings and contains statements on the goodness of human nature. According to Mencius, the ruler was to provide, sinasabi ko kanina, for the welfare of the people in two aspects. Dalawang aspects or respects ang kailangan i-provide ng government for the people. One is material conditions for their livelihood, ano yung kanilang mga tools, ano yung kanilang panginabuhian, and what else? Moral and educational guidance for their edification para maging responsible and productive citizens sila. Kailangan merong moral and educational guidance. That's according to Mencius. So magkaiba sila ni Confucius. Also, Mencius had worked out a definite program to attain economic sufficiency. Yan, siya rin na nag-advocate ng light taxes sa mga tao. Dapat hindi masyadong mabigat ang taxes. Free trade, conservation of natural resources, welfare of measures for the old and disadvantaged, yung mga PWD. Ang time pala ni Mencius, mayroon siyang program for that. PWD and senior citizen, welfare measures for the old and disadvantaged, and more nearly equal sharing of wealth. Marxism pa rin yan siya, or communism pa rin yan siya. Idea, yung equal sharing of wealth. It was his fundamental belief that only when the people had a steady livelihood would they have a steady heart. So don't forget this, itong statement ni Mencius na only when the people had a steady livelihood would they have a steady heart. Ano ibig sabihin niyan? Pag ang tao binigyan mo ng trabaho, binigyan mo ng source of income, they would have a steady heart, meaning to say loyal to the government or loyal to the one who's giving them the livelihood. Yun ang isa sa fundamental belief ni Mencius. Okay? Communism, na ano yan talaga yan, na mga concepts yan. The government will provide for the people, in return, the people will work for the government. Ito naman si Lao Tzu is also a Chinese philosopher, the founder of Taoism, si Lao Tzu. He is best known as the author of the Lao Tzu, o Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu or Tao Te Ching, or the Way of Virtue, the classic of the way and virtue. Taoism, si Lao Tzu ang founder. The work which exemplifies his thoughts. Pag, if you notice, si Lao Tzu, si Mencius, and si Confucius, more of ano sila, tawag niyan, becoming a good person, becoming good to others, the way of the virtue. Okay, so, ano pa isa? The name ni Lao Tzu, by which he is known, is not personal but an honorific title of being old man. Lao Tzu, old man or old master. Okay. So the correct answer for this question, ito is Confucius. The keyword here is tong analyze. Okay. So marami tayong natutunan dito na question, ha. Kasi there's a possibility na may question sa left na ang answer naman is Mochitong o Simencius. At least alam ninyo. Alright, next question. Which or what economic policy in the 16th century in Europe influenced Spain's expansionist policy to discover new lands? Social science, history, pwede rin. Kasi tayo, Philippines is part of the colony of Spain. Thank you for responses, Escobar Hamlag. Take note, ha. Ang question dito is what economic policy that influenced the expansionist policy? Ano ba yun? Thank you for responses. Who else? Sa Mangyo, Escobar. Isa lang, uy. Economic policy, ha? Okay, thank you for responses. All right. Correct answer for this question is letter D. Wala. Nakatama sa inyo, no? Mercantilismo. Oh. Look at the question, ha? Ang natanong dito is economic policy, hindi expansionist policy. Magkaiba pala yun, sir. Magkaiba ang economic policy sa expansionist policy. Pag sinabi economic policy, it's more of the business. Pag sinabi expansionist policy, paano ipalapad ang extend ang kanilang territory. Pero ito, what economic policy daw nag-influence sa expansionist policy? Okay, let's look at the explanations or rationalizations of these terms and also in our answer. So yung mercantilism, this was first popularized in Europe in the 1500s. 1500s. So panahon nila Magellan. Kasi si Magellan dumating sa Pilipinas 1521. Diba? Sa kanta ng Yoy Villami. Mercantilism was based on the idea that a nation's wealth and power were best served by increasing exports and in an effort to collect precious metals such as gold and silver. Ano daw? Ang merkantilismo ay ang paraan na para palakasin ang isang bansa in terms of wealth, yaman, and power, meaning control of siguro control of mga policies, no? Mga polisiya sa isang area, for example Asia, sa Europe, ganyan. Merkantilismo, paraan ng isang bansa para palakasin at payamanin. Sa paanong paraan? By increasing exports. Yung padamihin yung kanilang export. Yung export, paglabas ng produkto. Import, pagpasok. So ito, pag-increase ng paglabas, pagbebenta ng mga produkto. Ano pa? Kailangan makakolekt ng precious metals like gold and silver. Specific, ha? Gold and silver. So paano nangyayari na kukolekt ang gold and silver? Mercantilism. Sa mercantilism. Ito, yung sinasabi natin, wealth is equal to power. Ang wealth is measured in terms of, mga naman until now, di ba? Mga gold reserves ang pinag-uusapan. Gaano kayaman ng isang bansa? Depende sa kanyang gold reserves. Ano pa? Mercantilism, countries need to colonize. Kailangan expand ang kanilang territory para makagain ng wealth. Colonies not only provide much resources or yung raw materials, but they also serve as the market or buyer ng kanilang finished product. Think about this. Ang Pilipinas, export tayo ng like mangga or saging baron sa ibang bansa, say China or Japan. Pagbalik sa atin, dried mango or what kind of banana, something cheap or what like. Pero sa atin yung raw products ha, pag binalik sa atin mahal na yung product. Yun yung idea ng mercantilism. Yung colony, particularly yung colony, yung extension ng kanilang territory, will not only provide the raw materials but also market. Kung saan binili, ibenta po balik sa kanila na mas mahal. Now, colonies, sa mercantilism pa rin, colonies exist to serve the mother country. During our time with the Spaniards, colony tayo ng Spain, di ba? So, ang mother country natin noong panahon na yun is ang Spain. Ang namamahala sa Pilipinas ay mga Espanyol, mga gobernadorcilyo, mga praile. Kagaya sa atin, itong Spain. Spain takes lots of bullion from the New World. Yan. Gold bullions. Yun yung mercantilism. Ano naman ang connection ng mercantilism with international trade? Paro ninyo ang illustration. Yung may cycle dyan, yung mother country, ito na part. Mother country magbebenta ng manufactured goods sa kanilang colony sa Pilipinas. Tapos ang Pilipinas naman magpapadala ng gold and silver sa mother country, bayad sa kanilang manufactured goods. Kasama doon yung mga raw products like fur, lumber, food, and other spices. Malupit ang merkantilismo, no? Malupit ang merkantilismo. But yung sinasabi na kailangan i-expand ang territory para meron kayong colony. That's the economic policy that influenced the expansionist policy. How else can a country gain wealth aside from getting bullion or bullion of gold? Ayan, anong ginawa ng mga Espanyol? To expand their territory, they used military force, set up colonies, enslave the natives. Remember ninyo, yung mga Pilipino, sa salitang paggawa, polos y servicios. Grade 5 ako na rin, hindi ko kalimutan ng term, polos y servicios. Forced labor, ang mga Pilipino, mga slave, paggawain ng simbahan, paggawain ng barko, walang sweldo, pakainin lang. Polos y servicios. Distributed land among the colonists and gave many of them encomiendas. Mga colonizer, sila po itagiya sa mga yuta sa mga Pinoy. Sabi nyo, tanawang sa Pilipinas, abot lang, sa ako lang po nga opinion sa Davao, mga tagiya sa mga yuta diri, mga iba, mga sagara, mga Espanyolog apelido. Pero karong ginapangatag na nila. Intermarried with the natives to an extent and tried to convert the natives to their religion or Catholicism. Gumamit sila ng relihiyon, Espanyol. Methods of colonization. How about ng French naman, yung mga taga-France? How did they expand their territory? Meron din silang kapareho sa similarity sa Spain. Set up colonies in central locations, limited immigration. In Canada, the French lived and traded with the natives, but they did not enslave the people or yung kanilang mga colony. In the Caribbean, African slaves were imported to work on plantations, and ang Catholicism is spread by missionaries. Same sila sa Spain. Ang kalahian lang nila, hindi sila nag-enslave. How about itong English? Yung mga taga-Inglaterra, taga-United Kingdom, they encourage immigration to colonies. Yung mga taga-England, mag-immigrate dun sa kanilang colony. They don't interact with the natives. Yan. Only limited interest in spreading Christianity. So hindi masyadong about religion. Unlike sa Espanyol, grabe ang kanilang pag-Christianize sa Pilipinas. Yan. So ano pa, if colonists wanted land, resources, they sometimes negotiated with the Indians. So didn't they enslave? Meron silang slavery pero doon sa lugar ng Caribbean. So magkakaiba sila ng way of kanilang colonization. Pero itong colonization nga is Ito yung expansionist policy. Yung way nila para ma-expand yung kanilang territory, meron silang colony na bebentahan nila ng kanilang mga raw products. Okay, next. Colonialism is a practice of domination. Yung examples natin kanina, yung French, American, and the Spanish na mga practice of domination. One of the difficulties in defining colonialism is not hard to distinguish from imperialism. Mayroon kasing term na imperialism, mayroon yung colonialism. Although they can be used interchangeably. Pero like colonialism, imperialism also involves political and economic control over a dependent territory. And the etymology of colonialism, ito additional information ito, etymology ng colonialism from the term colony, which comes from the Latin word colonus or farmer. So pag colony, mga farmer, lugar ng farm natin. Doon tayo nag-harvest, no? Parang ganun ang dating ng colony. This root reminds us that the practice of colonialism usually involved the transfer of population to a new territory, while the rivals lived as permanent settlers while maintaining political allegiance to their country of origin. So even if nasa Pilipinas ang mga Espanyol, their allegiance and their loyalty is in their country of origin, which is Spain. Imperialism naman, on the other hand, comes from the Latin term imperium, meaning to command. So although similar ang kanilang idea or thought ng colonialism at imperialism, magkaiba ang kanilang pinaka-essence. So, what is capitalism naman? Capitalism, na part kasi ito sa ating options. Capitalism is an economic system in which private individuals or businesses own capital goods. Meaning, private na business. Ang Philippines, mayroon tayong capitalism. The production of goods and services is based on the supply and demand in the general market, known as a market economy, rather than through central planning, though known as a planned economy or command economy. So sa capitalism, merong karapatan ng mga private individuals na mag-set ng kanilang business. Magbenta rin sila. Mag-earn ng profit. Okay? Yung laissez-faire naman, laissez-faire is a classification or type of capitalism, but the purest form, meaning free market, meaning walang restraint. The private individuals or yung mga business people, they can determine where to invest, what to produce or sell, at what price they will sell their goods. Laissez-faire marketplace operates without checks and controls. So walang DTI, walang tax, laissez-faire. Merong mga ganito pero siguro sa mga remote areas, yung mga ganito. Pero dito sa city, hindi kaya. Okay? Meron kasing checks and controls dito sa sa city. Merong nag-check ng product mo kung FDA approved ba yan, kung mayroon ba yung DTI permit, ganyan, di ba? So, capitalism yun siya. Alright. Yung spice trade naman, which is some of you answered this refers to the cultivation, preparation, transport of spices. Itong spice trade kasi, ang spices kasi, even though mga lamas-lamas na yun, pero this is very important for the rich people. Hindi gusto nga ng mga lamig na pagkaon, lamig na lasa. So during the time of colonization, yan, parang isa ito sa mga trade nila, yung mga spices. Yeah, seasonings like social, cinnamon, cassia, cardamom, wala ko kaila, ginger, turmeric were important items of commerce in the earliest evolution of trade. Pampalasa sa pagkain. Yun yung spice trade. But the correct answer for this question is mercantilism. Okay? I hope you learned something from this, Spice trading, capitalism, colonialism, and mercantilism. Next question before we take our short break. What law passed on August 1909 by the U.S. Congress established a partial trade in the Philippines? Grabe no, patid naman ito at itatanong pa sa atin. Part of history kasi. Thank you for your responses, Alabar. Actually, common may sa mga reviewers. Kung nabasa ninyo inyong reviewers sa left, sa Lorimar, pagulo mo sa answer. Diba I told you, masteron to ninyo ha, katong Lorimar nga Gen.Ed. Mga 1,000, more than 1,000 questions, masteron ninyo ang left itong Lorimar na left. Okay, your answers, please. Thank you for responses. Hamlag. Ayan. Abonilas, Abayon. Okay, personal answer, Escobar. All right, correct answer for this question is yes, it's Payne-Aldrich Act. August 1909, Congress passed the Payne-Aldrich Tariff Act, which provided the free entry to the United States of all Philippine products. Oh, di know. Dati pa hindi tayo pwede makibusiness sa United States. But this act in 1909 allowed us to do business or trade with the United States except rice, sugar, and tobacco. Rice imports were subjected to regular tariffs and quotas were established for sugar and tobacco. May mga tarifa, may mga quota, may mga limits. Yung Belt Trade naman, which is also part of our options kanina. Belt Trade Act naman is formally called as the Philippine Trade Act of 1946. So mas ano ito, mas later than the Payne-Aldrich 1946. This is an act passed by the U.S. Congress specifying the economic conditions governing the emergence of Republic Philippines. Kasi nga, 1946, we are now independent from the United States. So ito yun, itong Belt Trade Act, ito yung nag-specify ano yung economic conditions natin in relation with the United States in terms of business. Kuha ninyo, ano yung kaibahan ng Payne-Aldrich at saka ito, Belt Trade Act. The act included controversial provisions that tied the Philippine economy to that of the United States. Yung Underwood-Simmons Act naman, this is in 1913, removing quotas placed on Philippine imports to the US. Something like partial free trade ito Underwood-Simmons Act, 1913. Yeah. So correct answer for this question is letter B, the Payne-Aldrich Act. Yung Treaty on General Relations, too much of the distractor, so hindi ko na ito ni-research. Paano na kung interesado man ako sa nasa. So we just eliminated it. And I think hindi man siya part ng acts or mga law. Okay, we'll pause for like mga 10 minutes for water break, toilet break. Sige. Stop recording.